Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So I will post a link to the official story trailer for Jedi Survivor in the blog post for this show's episode at sw7x7.com and in the show notes, so you have it to check out. It's just a couple of minutes long and it is action-packed in addition to, as you would expect for a story trailer, to reveal some of the story. And it definitely has connections to Star Wars battle scars. Or I guess I should say Star Wars Jedi battle scars. So one of the premises that comes through in Battle Scars by Sam Maggs is the fact that the Mantis crew is tired. Like, they have been through a lot. And it's echoed in the voiceover from Cal Kestis in the story trailer where he says it's been a long 5 years and they've tried to resist, but fear and mistrust rule the galaxy. And if you tuned into our discussions about battle scars, you may recall that the members of the Mantis crew, and so we're getting into a bit of spoilery territory here, are thinking about what's next, basically. How long are they going to keep up this fight? What are they going to really be striving for overall? What's their ultimate goal? And this happens, Battle Scars does, in between Fallen Order and Survivor, so now here we are with the full 5 years later, and it seems as though the band has broken up. I'm kind of pulling information from a couple of other trailers as well. So Sir Junda has her own Jedi library that she's building, and Grease does not appear to be the person operating the Stinger Mantis who's flying it, basically, because the story starts with Cal Kestis crash landing the Stinger Mantis on a planet called Kobo, and Merrin seems like she's off doing her own thing as well. She appears in the story trailer and talks to Cal about looking into the fire, and it can give you warmth and company, but if you leave it unchecked, it will destroy everything around you until it all turns to ash. It will consume everything. But apparently Merrin is going to come along for some part of the ride because she's depicted as an AI companion in some of the gameplay footage. So she's basically somebody who's kind of helping you with missions, but she's a non-playable character from what I gather. And the same goes for Bode Akuna, who is voiced by Noshir Dalal. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Noshir's having a great year as Admiral Rampart from the Bad Batch, and now doing this. Bode's mercenary character, his gunslinger character with no love for the Empire, according to the StarWars.com databank, is talking about a place where the Empire can't reach them anymore. So he's somebody who becomes a friend to Cal Kestis, and he's talking to both Cal and Merrin and Grease, it seems. And that was Grease's expressed desire in Battle Scars. He wanted to find some place to be able to settle down and give up the fight, that they'd done enough for king and country, as the expression goes. And now it seems like he's being offered the possibility of something like this. And we don't necessarily know what his life has been like in the intervening years between Battle Scars and Survivor, but he seems to have found some sort of rest and respite, and he's excited to see Cal when they reunite in some of the footage they showed. As far as the baddies go, or your primary antagonists, maybe it's not so simple to call them bad guys per se, but one of them had been rumored to have something to do with the High Republic, and it seems like it is more closely confirmed than it's ever been before. So there are, in previous trailers and footage, images of a suspended animation tank, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, and somebody who comes out of that who looks similar to the character that we then see in robes that looked like potentially High Republic robes, but now in this official story trailer, you can see an emblem related to the High Republic. It's got all the finery related to the High Republic, and this character, in talking to Cal Kestis, says, you know, how could you let the galaxy fall to this empire? And yeah, there are a few more finer words on the details of it, but you get the gist. He is unhappy and he's fighting Cal Kestis over it. An unworthy machine of an empire, to get more specific. What's worse is that this character seems also to have teamed up with a type of species called a Jedi, which are thought to be nearly immortal, and we have a character who's lasted a couple of 100 years together. Oh yeah, that seems like it could be problematic for sure. especially when you also consider the fact that the High Republic, right, the Jedi were at the height of their power then. And so Cal Kestis, who has been training, but probably is not at the height of, I mean, he's at the height of his power probably, but not what the equivalent would have been had he been immersed in formal training ongoing, right? Yeah, it definitely presents a big challenge for Cal Kestis. But back to what appears to be the goal of the story is finding this place where they can be safe from the Empire, and there's voiceover about isn't that worth fighting for no matter the cost. I have to say, when that happened, I got to thinking about Pabu, which is the planet where we saw the Bad Batch reside for a brief time and have to deal with the sea surge in episode 13 of the Bad Batch from season 2. If there's one place like Pabu, there must be dozens of places like that across the galaxy. I mean, it might be fun to see Pabu show up in Jedi Survivor. We don't have any indication that it will just yet. But like I said, if there's one place like that, there's gotta be dozens. So those are the big beats from the story trailer that Electronic Arts just released yesterday for Jedi Survivor. And in looking back through other videos, I realized that IGN has actually been posting a ton of content about Jedi Survivor. So we're not necessarily going to do it tomorrow, but over the next few weeks, we will start digging into what that content tells us about Jedi Survivor, and we'll kind of summarize it. Maybe we'll do one of our What to Watch Now episodes and wrap a whole bunch of them into one. We'll see. But that's what I've got for you on today's episode of the podcast, and that's going to do it. So it just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it. As always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
Star Wars 7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.